Yuli, you're not audible if you're saying anything.
So can we start?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. So, anybody have any doubts? Hello? Okay, now we can start our event. Sir,
Okay, ma'am.
please over to you.
Okay, thank you. So we can see the presentation, right? Is the presentation visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will let's start. So we'll make a quick review or run through the yesterday's slides. So we discussed about Paryavaran and what is Darshanam. We discussed like how Indians view philosophy, and then we went into the Karya Karana and its importance in Indian thought process. And then we went through the 9 major Indian philosophies, starting from Sankhya to Vedanta. And then we went to the question of the construction of a universe, the 5 Mahabhutas, and why only 5 Mahabhutas, and how to define Mahabhutas. And then we had a little, like a small discussion on Antakarana and Bahikarana, the faculties of perception and faculties of action. And there's different faculties of mind, which is included in the Antakaranas. And then the different elements of perception, like the process of perception or the understanding of perception in Indian mode, where there's a prama, that's a truth or the true knowledge, a pramada, one who understands or perceives the knowledge, or the prameya, the topic or the topic on which the search happens, and the pramanas are the mode or like the methodology of perceptions. And then we went into the Atma and Anatma Viveka, by the individual and the things that are not ourselves, but that are around ourselves. So like the individual and the environment. That's where we end last day. And today's a day 2, where we will try to go into further connections that can connect into present day relevance of Indian thought process with environment and sustainability. And what was our what was the concept of sustainability? Like, can we see the concept of sustainability or sustaining sustainable environment or sustainable universe in our historic perspective? And we will go to and we'll have a flash view on all these, and we'll come to a conclusion, and we'll have a discussion today. So I will request my participants to, if you want to stop me in between the talks, you may. Then if that's like a relevant question of discussion, or if you feel that I am going into a wrong direction, kindly stop me. We will discuss it then and there. And otherwise, we can discuss at the end of the discussion, where we will collect all our queries and ideas, and we'll have an open discussion then. So from the earlier background, we are getting into a bit more next level, where the concept of Jiva and Jagat. The Jiva and Jagat is being defined with some differences in different schools of thoughts. Like the way Jiva is seen by Bauddhas, or like different schools of Buddhism, or the way Jiva is being seen in Jainism, or different schools of Nirgranda philosophy, or the way Jiva is being identified by the Vedantins, like different schools of Vedantins. There are minor differences, but in a whole, Jiva means a soul, a self that is entitled with a living body. So Jiva is not just soul or Atman or self. Jiva means, so sure, it is a self. Without self, there is no Jiva. It's an active self in an active body. It is not just self, the self with a physical body or physical presence where the actions are possible. So it can perceive and it can act accordingly. So that can be a general perception of what Jiva is. And Jagat is whatever there exists around him or where the Jiva stays. It's a Jagat means a substratum for the Jiva. So it's a world. It includes the entire universe in total. Even it includes the Jiva also. So it is impossible to separate the Jiva from the Jagat. It is sure a component part of the Jagat. At the same time, the Jiva can identify himself as an individual and he can identify the Jagat which is not included within. So we have this question. So this is a great philosophical question which leads to different schools of Vedanta later, like the Advaitins, the Advaitavada, the Vishishta Advaita, the Ajitya Bheda, all comes from this question, whether Jiva can be included here, there, or is it separate from the world? Is the consciousness is universal, or if the universal consciousness is same as the individual consciousness? So all these questions happens. Those are more spiritual and philosophical questions where we don't have much relevance in this point. So that is the Jiva, the concept of Jiva and Jagat. Jiva as the individual, Jagat as the world where he is living in. It includes all other Jiva apart from him and also the non-living existences. So from there, we'll go to a beautiful concept of Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. So for a religious guy, Srishti and Sthiti Laya means different, but for us, we can extract some different meanings or some different understanding, which is very useful for the sustainability aspect of present day life. So we can say the philosophies which came to India, which are origin in the East or where some other part of the world and which later entered India, they mostly came with the idea that there was a single point of origin of this world, and there is some authority or some powerful authority which created this entire world. And there was a beginning, and it's going to end at some certain point. And there is only one life. So this was a concept that which came into Indian subcontinent in due course of time, and to a great extent, this concept has influenced our life. So we have accepted, like it is having many plus and negatives. I'm not going into that plus and minuses of those concepts. It's not a platform for doing that. But this concept has influenced the present day life in a great extent. But whereas we, even though we are still following this old concept of Srishti Siddhi Laya, but still we are not that much aware or about that, or to a many extent we are confused with the terms, or at many a time we will restrict its application only to the religious aspect, whereas we forget its application in the social aspect of life, or in the progress aspect of life, or in understanding the world and all. So when we hear the term Srishti in Indic concept, Indic sciences, don't think that it is like the first creation kind of thing. No, it is not that point of first creation. No, Srishti is not that point of first creation. Sure, it is creation. So it can be considered as a fountainhead, like an origin, or the fountainhead of origin of creation. So we have to understand when we hear Srishti as a continuous process of creation. Okay, it's a continuous process. We consider it as Anati Ananta. We don't know when it starts and we don't know when it will end. So we consider it as it is having no ending and it is having no beginning. So Srishti started at some point of time. We don't know when. So we consider it as Anadi, without a beginning, and it is Ananta. Then comes to Sthiti. So anything that is being originated in this platform of universe, that will stay for some time. So it will stay for some time, and that is the process of Sthiti. So something that is originated stays for some time as its own nature. So there is nothing needed for that to stay. And in due course of stay, it is been nourished, something is not nourished, something is nourished, something develops into new things. So all these things we can see in the universe. And at certain point, this sthiti comes to a stop, or like whatever entity that came out of the universe reaches a point where it cannot sustain itself further. So at that point, it gets destroyed or dissolved back, and it becomes like totally dissolved into the universe again. So this is the concept in simple about the Srishti Sthiti Laya. It is not just a creation and sustenance and destruction. So it is a continuous process of creation. The creation is happening, the Sthiti is happening, and the Laya is happening. At this point, I want to bring you into a wonderful concept which is being elaborated in Ayurveda, whereby Charaka, when we see Charaka as a philosopher, there we can get an idea of Swabhava Uparama Vada. Swabhava Uparama Vada is it is related with the Karya Karana Siddhanta that we discussed last time. Swabhava Uparama literally means it is nature of any entity to destruct. So it is natural, the destruction is natural, and it does not need any cause. For example, for understanding this concept, I will give an example. There is a oil lamp. So to lit the oil lamp and to maintain that oil lamp, there is some things are needed. Like we need the wick, we need the oil, we need the lamp, and we need someone to lit the lamp. Once the lamp is set and it is lit, it will remain as long as the oil is there, the wick is there, and the environment is favorable for that. So the moment the favoriteness of the environment goes, like it is a windy environment suddenly comes up, or maybe the oxygen ends in that part, or maybe the oil ends, or the wick burns off completely, then the oil, the burning, that lamp burns off. That means for something to create, there need a cause, but for the sustenance, it does not need an extra cause. The moment the cause of the cause that led to its creation ceases, it will end to sustain. It will end to sustain. So that is called Swabhava Uparama Vada. So we have to keep this in mind to understand that to the point that anything that is created is supposed to destruct at some point of time. At some point of time. That is a natural rule. So destruction happens naturally. But there are many things when but if the environment is not favorable for the sustenance of that particular thing, then the destruction will be faster. It will approach a destruction very early than it is supposed to. Okay. Pardon me? Any question or any doubt?
Yeah.
Yeah, please. Or may I continue? Okay, let me continue. If you have any doubt, please come up. You can put in the chat box, or if it is that important, we can discuss it then and there. So I hope I gave you an idea of the concept of Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya. And from there, we went to the idea of Swabhava Uparama Vada, which means it is natural. The destruction is natural. That can be the simple terms. To anything to destruct, it doesn't need any reason, extra reason. So let's go to the next slide. Next part. So from Srishti Sthiti Laya, we are going into our next concept of Satya and Vrida. So we all know the Indica, the Vedas are considered as the major source of knowledge here, or like the major literature that is available in present day. So the whole Veda gives us an idea of how the civilization was then, how advanced the forefathers were, and what were their views and what led to the present views. Also, many times we get the seed of present day views in the Vedas. So from the Veda, the most influenced or the most sustained or still maintained view is the Satya and Rudha. So even though we are not much discussing these in public these days, but still our culture or our sciences, even our common day living is pretty much guided by Satya and Rudha. Satya can be literally translated to truth, but rather than just truth, it is something unchangeable. So that is the criteria for considering something as Satya. Satya should be something unchangeable at any context or at any situation, any timeline. So such a point is called Satya. Such a fact or factor is called as Satya. And Rudha is can be literally translated to rhythm in English, where it is a movement, or it is the Satya in motion. So there is truth and truth in motion. So truth here means something that cannot be changed at any instance. And if that truth is in action, it is called Rudha. So why I brought this point is like when we see the Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. So that's a truth. And at the same time, it is a Rudha. It is a truth in action. So Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. So the origin, sustenance, and destruction is a truth. And that is the truth in action. So just to connect that part with the Vedic literature, I brought up with this, and we'll get into further details later. So that is Satya and Rudha. So we can see the influence of Satya in Indian idea. Like now, even our Satyam Eva Jayate, like the national emblem says that the Satyam Eva Jayate. So where it means the truth only prevails. So in present day, when we are too much obsessed about wealth, or when we are too much obsessed about our physical successes, like a seeable or measurable successes, or to show off things, when many times we have to compromise this Satya. So whenever we are compromising Satya, we have to keep in mind that we may have momentary gain. So we may gain something, like we may gain some money for the time being, or we may gain some fame for the time being. We may boost our ego for the time being, but in long run, the Rudha will never leave us. So that's how karma theory sets in. So we will discuss that further. And then the next concept I want to bring in front of you is the concept of Praditya Samutpada. So yesterday we discussed the Karya Karana Vada, the Karya and Karana, the cause and effect. So Praditya Samutpada is an higher, or like a next version of the same theory. So Praditya Samutpada, this theory came with the advancement of Buddhist philosophy and schools of thoughts. So mainly it is been well shaped or like well defined by Arya Nagarjuna, the great teacher of Mahayana school of Buddhism. So where Praditya Samutpada means in simple terms, nothing in existence have its own intrinsic features. Like Swabhava. Swabhava is null. Not null exactly, there are Swabhavas, but it is not like whatever feature as a son or a daughter we have, we derived it from our parents. Okay, so whatever the effect is there, the effect derives its Swabhava, its nature, from its cause. So again, it gives us idea about the further more detailed expression of the cause and effect theory, where it says that whatever we are seeing in this world, phenomena we are seeing around us, the creation that we are seeing around us, they don't have its own Swabhava, nature. So whatever Swabhava that we see it is being inherited from its cause. So like the children from the parents. Okay. So why it is important? Because I want to draw you to the point where when we see a disaster in this world, and that nature of that disaster is not directly invested in that disaster, whereas it comes from its causes. So what we can do is only to modify the course than to wait for the disaster to happen. So once the disaster happened, we are able to directly read from the disaster, the nature of disaster, that okay, what can be the causes? It gives us the unfailing path. Okay, these are the causes. Okay. And once the causes are identified, we have to go further also. Okay, what led to these causes in action? So once we identify this way, we will find out the reasons. And once a reason is taken away, then there is no disaster. So this, you may think, okay, everybody knows that, okay, but we are not acting towards it. Why are we not acting towards it? Because one major reason is that like we are too much obsessed about ourselves and our comfort these days. Whereas comforts are essential for us. We will come to that point. Comforts are essential for the success and for the fruitfulness of our life. But it is not at the risk of distracting the entire humanity. Okay. So that's where the Praditya Samutpada concept given by Rishi Gautama, Siddhartha Gautama, is very important. We have to keep this in mind, where nothing happens with a reason, and whatever happened does not have its own nature. It comes from its reason. Okay. Then we will come to the Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha concepts. So here we say like the unique way of living is a wholesome way of living. So we never just says about liberation. Okay, you leave everything and go for liberation. Okay, you leave every comfort and go for forest and live there with the animals and be like an animal and be with the nature. No, that is not the game here. We are supposed to attain everything that you wish. That's why where the karma comes. The karma means your desire, your wishes. You are supposed to attain them. And for attaining your wishes, and you need wealth. Not only artha in the physical wealth, you need the mental wealth, the mental strength, the intellect. You need that. At the same time, we are not supposed to compromise the dharma. Dharma, again, can in simple terms be defined as the ethics. It is the Hriday itself. It is the truth in action. Whether we are aware of this dharma. So don't take the dharma as religion here, which is the most common translation these days. That is a modern idea of dharma, like many time, like an incorrect or like a lower level of understanding of dharma, where dharma literally means there can be many givens. The meaning of dharma changes according to situation to situation. For example, when dharma is being said in between the conversation of Arjuna and Krishna, it will be mostly considered as ethics. Okay, whereas when dharma is said by Gautama Buddha, when he is telling about this universe and its phenomena, then mostly it will be taken as and when he's discussing how the Buddha are discussing it with his elite students, then it will be the phenomena. When when Buddha, the same Buddha, when talks about dharma, when to his lay followers, then it means the teachings. So the dharma is a very complicated word. Okay, don't take it simply. Its meaning changes from situation to situation. At the same time, all these meanings are interrelated. So we can't extract one from the other. So we have to. So the best way to understand dharma is the word dharma itself. Conceive the word dharma as dharma itself, and also you can add all these aspects of dharma that we heard in English into that. You can coin that words into the dharma and use the word dharma. So dharma can be phenomena, dharma can be ethics, dharma can be religion, dharma can be teaching, dharma can be law, rule of law. Okay. So why dharma comes here? Because we have to attain karma, we have to attain artha. But if we are not aware of dharma, the Rida will act on its own, then the dharma will act on its own, the truth will act on its own. It can be most of the time destructive to the individual. So if the individual is not aware about the possible destructive effect of his action for attaining artha and kama, that will lead to his own destruction. So somebody who want to attain the maximum in his life is supposed to be aware of dharma, and according to dharma, he has to earn the artha and moksha. Sorry, karma. So then comes the moksha. Moksha, and one funny idea thing is like in earlier test, we won't see much about moksha. So it was Trivarga in earlier test, and later the moksha term added, or possibly later the on discussions, different school came into the concept that, okay, we have to consider moksha also. Yes, it should be considered. Whereas moksha is also a term which is many a time misunderstood as like something happens after death, as like a liberation. We will cut everything from this and we don't take a rebirth, all this of stuff. These are very primary understanding, or like many time misunderstanding also. Whereas moksha can be taken as a life without any note, like the Nirgranda says. Okay, you will be living in this world. You will be enjoying everything in this world. You will be working for your all your success. But at the same time, you will not be over extra attached to this world. You will not be extra attached to the karmas you have, the desires you have. You will not be extra attached to the arthas you have. Even you won't be extra attached to the dharma you are following. Okay, so you have to maintain an equilibrium. So if you are able to attain that stage of equilibrium, then you are at the stage of moksha. So, and there are again different discussions of moksha, but this understanding of moksha, this way of equilibrium, or like a well-balanced understanding of this world and a well-balanced behavior in this world will be useful in realm of sustainability and in saving or using the environment in the right way. So this is the purpose of understanding dharma, artha, kama, and moksha here. And then we will come to the sustainability. One moment. So from there, we will enter into the sustainability and environment discussion. So just now, we'll say that there is like every individual is entitled to attain, to work towards his desires. Okay, it can be becoming a father, or becoming an industrialist, or becoming a billionaire. So to act towards that, he has to attain the earth, the wealth, which is a intellectual wealth, and also the physical wealth, which is the money. Okay, and also these things has to be attained in the path of dharma, the universal ethics, and following the truth, understanding the truth, and act according to the rules of nature. And the primal aim should be moksha, where even while attaining all these, we will be never over attached to this world or environment or to the self. Okay, so it is a total sustainable balance. And one point I want to bring in here is like, even if we are not working for sustainability, the environment know, or it acts accordingly to maintain its sustenance, where humans has to be aware about his own sustenance. If we want to live more, or if we want to continue in this universe as long as possible, like if we want his progenies also to live here in this world, then we have to think about sustainability. Then we don't have to become the father of this universe. That is not a helpful attitude. We have to be the child to this universe. If you are not getting that idea, and you are not, when we are not able to understand that, okay, the universe is the mother and I am just a speck in this. Okay, if you are not getting that idea, that magnanimity of that idea, then you are a fail. You will fail your entire race. You will fail your entire family. You will fail your entire human family. So that one thing we have to. So these days, even though we are knowingly, unknowingly, to a great extent in Indian subcontinent, we follow these, but the influence of this is coming lesser, and that is nothing good for us in future, where we are in a situation where we have to import ideas of sustainability. But we are a sustainable society. We sustain for, like, as a civilization, we sustain for minimum of 5,000 non-history. Like even now debates are happening, we are further old too. So if we could, as a civilization, we could sustain for this long, without a break, without a total break, then there is something relevant in this civilization, in this part of world. And again, one point I have to stress here is the Indic sciences or Indian philosophies give priority to the conscious individual. It doesn't see from where he comes from where to where he goes, from which part of the world he is, so like what is the color of his skin. Nothing matters here. Nothing matters. The only thing matters is the conscious, the awakened consciousness. If somebody is with awakened consciousness, somebody who is aware of who he are, what are his limitations, what are his capacities, and what is he dealing with. Okay, rather than being say, okay, I'm a man, I have to protect the entire nature. No, nature don't need you to protect them. You have to protect yourself and be obedient to the nature. Otherwise, nature know how to take care of you. Okay, being from the Kerala, like now we know like what we did with the how we played, like my generation and the generation above, how we played with the nature and how we suffered in 2018 in the form of flood. But again, the plus point as a civilization in 940, like rolled on the, like fall on the ground and rolled and cried, okay, we did this mistake, okay, everything gone. No, within 2 weeks we survived. So that's the best part of our civilization. This you will see in the entire Indian subcontinent, wherever it may be, whatever disaster happens, we don't care. We know it is the natural process. Disasters happen. And it can be from our mistake. And if you understand your mistake and if you correct it then and there, it will not repeat. Otherwise, be aware, it will come again. And once the disaster happened, it is our responsibility to come back, sprung back. No one gonna come and help you. Stop crying, help, or like wake up, help yourself, act and protect yourself. That's what the idea is. Also, for the sustainability of environment, we have to understand this part where the humans are not that big. We can do many things, right? Sure, we have, but we are not as much capable as this universe is or this nature is. So, to the simple term, Jagat is more powerful than the Jiva. So once the Jiva identify that, he is in moksha. Okay, his environment will sustain. He will sustain. His progenies will sustain, and the world will be in a happy realm of life. The next thing what we have to consider, the non-dualistic reality. So here, when I use the term non-dualistic reality, even though it is influenced by the Advaita Siddhantas, put for like more brought into light by Adi Shankaracharya and other teachers of his lineage. But apart from that, a spiritual aspect, we have to understand that even though we are an individual, are we separable from this universe? Can we be taken totally out of this universe? Is that possible? Or is you totally a part of the universe? If that question comes, then also you'll know, I can identify myself. I can identify what is not me. But can I separate myself from this universe? No, I don't think so. So that is a confusing question. So we have to understand that. That's why typically the non-dualistic term is used. So non-dualistic, Advaita, not two, not dual. Okay, so it is to connote like only I'm not getting that right, that word where the words are limited to express that situation, and the most best way to express it, non-dualistic approach, where I know I am existing there, this world is there around this, I am existing in this world, I am separate from this world to an extent, but I am part of this world. I am not totally separated from this. It is impossible to segregate me from this universe. The moment you try, you will not exist. Okay, that's the idea of non-dualistic reality. And if we are aware of this non-dualistic reality, and if you are coming to this reality, then sustenance is not a question. Then why we will destruct our nature? We will make use of her. Like we drank the breast milk of our mother, we never killed her. While we are drinking from our mother's breast, we never killed her. We drank from her breast. We were happy. She is happy feeding us. She survived, I survived, I grown up, and she will be happy to see me as a grown-up child. Now become an adult, she'll be happy. Now, once I am grown up, why I have to go and again disturb her? Like, I don't need the breast milk anymore. But still, I respect that. Okay, my needs are changing, but still, I'm not going to go like what I say, behave like a child and putting harm to my mother. No, I won't do that. I won't do that. So we have to have this attitude of mother and child. We have to obey to the universe and the self, and there we may succeed. So that's what I have for like as slides right now. So next point is like I want to invite a discussion, like a live discussion, because these ideas are pretty new. Because only few platforms and few scholars had started discussing these points. So we need a lot of discussion to happen, especially from the experts in environment and sustainability field, because that is a very new elaborate field. Not new, but like a very active right now. This field is very active right now, and this field need sources from like a input from all other sources also. So it is as a student of Indic sciences, it is my responsibility to bring my understanding to the platform where you can develop further for the sake of this environment and individual and for a sustainable environment too, and also in way to like come up with our own Indic ideas, where we have to stop importing ideas like Atmanirbhar Bharat. All these discussions are happening. We have to be intellectually also Atmanirbhar. We have enough capacities to do that. Only thing like we are like a sleeping lion. We have to just awake, and we have to understand, and we have to find out the best, and we have to discard the worst, even if it is from our own home. If it is something bad and destructive, then discard it. But whatever is useful, take it, and whatever need change, we have to change it and improve it. Okay, so one another point I want to discuss here as a student of philosophy is like to a great time, maybe in last 200 years, the major approach towards a thing with some problem is like to totally discard that system. No, that won't work. So no system is perfect. Okay, so before this 200 years of time, what we have seen when we are analyzing the histories in Indian subcontinent, the attitude was, okay, when a system is having some trouble, we will think, okay, how we can correct it. Then we will come up with new changes, and we will start following that. And in due course of time, we will identify new problems with that, because as the time changes, as the place changes, the new problems will occur. Something will become not useful for the time. Then we have to discard, and we have to not just discard the entire system. We have to think about the changes, bring about the positive changes, and we have to go further. So we have to bring back this attitude also. So just discarding something, telling that, okay, fine, or everything related to this is bad. Okay, there are many bad, sure, but if something is sustained, there should be some good with that. So we have to identify that good, and we have to propagate that good, and whatever bad is that, we have to correct it. We have to correct it and make it better and better. Then, like Buddha said, Praditi Samapada, we will be correcting ourselves. The next result will be more beautiful, and we will go towards progress further. So let's start the discussions, and like, is there any chats? So I will invite participants to come up with your ideas, or if typically something you didn't understood, or you want me to talk more, you can come up with that topic also. Either you can put it in the chat, or you just unmute yourself and tell with the open camera.
Hello, dear participants. If you have any questions, any doubts, you can ask a resource person. Please unmute yourself and feel free to ask.
So by the time you come up with your discussion, I will try to just brief the entire topic. We started. 1 second. We start yesterday. We started with what Paryavarana is, what Paryavaran Darshana. We went to the Indian philosophies, the view, the importance of Karya Karana Siddhanta, the cause and effect theory, and then we discussed a small point about how this world has been created and why Pancha Mahabhutas are there. Then we about the faculties of understanding and action, perception. We discussed about perception and different levels of perception. Then we discuss about the individual and that which is not the individual around us. Then today we start with the Jiva and Jagat. Again, the individual and the environment around him, that the world around him or where he exists. And then we came up with the concept of Srishti, Siddhi and Laya, where Srishti is the origin and it is a continuous flow of origin that is happening in this universe. And Siddhi is the maintenance stage of maintenance, and Laya is the point where the maintenance ends and the creation dissolve back into the universe. So that's a continuous process. We can say it as Anati Ananta, where without a beginning and without an end. And then we discussed about Satya and Rida, which are the major basic concept of Vedas. Then Satya is the truth that is like an unpervasible, like an unchangeable thing, factors. And Rida is the truth in action. And then we came up with the Praditya Samutpada, where no phenomena or nothing in existence do have an intrinsic feature. Why? Because we are created from the causes. So this theory is being put forward by a school of Buddhism. Mainly, it is been this theory has been established by Arya Nagarjuna, a follower of Bhagavan Buddha himself. And then we discussed about dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So in earlier period, it was Trivarga, then Chaturvarga became Chaturvarga in due course of time, where in in early stage of Vedas, the dharma, artha, kama is being given more importance, whereas moksha come into the scene in a later phase of time. So we discuss about what is the purpose of life when we have to attain the karma. For that, we need artha. This has to be attained through dharma. And all these things has to be in a equilibrium or equanimous stage, which is called the moksha. And then we discussed about how sustainability and environment was happening in this part of the world. Then we came and landed on the concept of non-dualistic reality, where an angel is a part. It's only a component of this entire universe. It is difficult to separate from it. So if we want ourselves, our humanity to be sustained, we have to maintain this entire universe. So it is our responsibility. Why? Because only if that we are done, we will sustain. Otherwise, the nature know how to take care of us. That is what we are seeing in the terms of disasters and all. So we have to take lessons from them and act accordingly without losing time, so that we will survive to the maximum. So regarding these, if you have any doubt, or if I have to clarify something, or if you think that I have tell something wrong, please come up with the points, because these points of discussion are at the very early stage. There is maybe in last 5 to 6 years, these discussions are slowly happening. And now it is picking too much speed, and I will be very much thankful with the nature to give us this platform, so that the ideas from Indian philosophies and Indic studies can come together with the very modern essential school of environment and sustainability. So if you have any observations, I think I am the best teacher in the world. So I am better than Buddha. Even to Buddha, people ask questions, but I'm not getting anything. So that may mean that I establish it. And there's one chat. Let me check. That's any. So yesterday we had one question where Nabil asked, where it was about why, like, even men are the reason for this destruction or the problems in this environment, but still we behave like we are the savior. So I think I answered that part. So it is our responsibility to take care of ourselves. That's our only responsibilities, and environment know how to take care of it. So they don't need. See, the dinosaurs were there at some point of time, and something led to their destruction. But still, the environment, the air, the universe sustained. So the universe don't need humans to sustain. It know how to sustain in this way or in another form. It will sustain. So if humans want to sustain, we have to be careful, act wise. Otherwise, the universe will, like, we will pay for that. The karma will come setting. That's why the Indian theory is very good. The karma will not leave you, will follow us. And there was one question like, is India near to achieve the concept of sustainability? Sure, yes. India can be actually the leader of this realm because we have pretty good examples. The best part of Indian examples are where this idea of extracting or like the consumerism is pretty less in India. Even now, the idea of consumerism, or like we are the consumer, so we have to extract the maximum from the universe, is still less. We still see the universe or this nature as our mother. So yes, we can lead this idea of sustainability in the present world. We have a lot to offer for this world, and at the same time, we have to learn a lot from the world. When I say the term world, it doesn't only means the Western world; it means the entire world. So we have to have a global view, and we should not be obsessed with whatever Indian is there. It is not right. There is nothing like that. There can be better views and ideas available in other parts of the world. Whenever we come into know that those things come into notice, we have to accept that and we have to use it and we have to be better. The only point is we have to become better. We have to handle ourselves and the nature in a better way. So whatever comes, take it. Take it. And there was a how to manage forest. Uh, Actually, the best way to manage forest, in my understanding, is don't do anything. The forest will manage itself. That's again the idea. But what we have to do is we have to protect it from the periphery. And one thing I have observed, it's a world phenomenon where at some point, the so-called Adivasis or so-called Mula Nivasis, these terms came into existence, and the entire concept of Mula Nivasi, Adivasi, they are of lower social development and all. No, we are wrong with that concept. That was not the real Indic view. The real Indic view, they are integrally the part of forest. Even we, the humans, still are integrally the part of forest. So the moment we see forest as like only a place where we can extract, then we will land up in trouble. Yes, we can get many things from the forest. At the same time, because of this forest, we are sustaining. We have to understand that and keep that in mind. And at the same time, I felt like at some point our government also has to think and change the attitude towards the humans who are living inside the forest, because they are surely the part of the ecosystem inside forest. So to have them outside the forest or to extract them outside the forest will disturb the entire ecosystem. So we have to stop doing that that wrong at some point of time. I don't know how it will go and happen. I don't have a clear idea or solution for that, but still I feel this is a wrong thing where the moment you take out human as a part of which who are the elements or like a part of forest outside, it will surely gonna disturb the ecosystem, and we are seeing many disaster in the forest these days. So we have to be aware of that. That's one thing. With the forest and thing like no, the story of Amazon itself is very enough to understand that, because now the new studies are suggesting that Amazon was not a forest like this before. So it was like many cities, a chain of many like highly advanced civilizations and cities were there in the Amazon region, which at some point, due to some reason, some say it was smallpox, which killed the entire population, and suddenly the jungle, like the forest appeared there. So the forest don't need us. The only thing is like we should act wisely and we should not disturb it. So that's like we have to act wisely, then the forest will be there and also we will be there. There is one question. Sir, how different religions look at Paryavaran, like views of Hinduism, Christianism, Sikhism, Islamism, Buddhism, Jainism, and others. So with the Abrahamic religions, mainly the Christian, Sikh, Islamism, and Judaism, I'm not much clearly aware about that, because my knowledge and readings into that religious philosophy is very minute. But whatever understanding I have, they came up with this very idea of like, okay, there is a creator God who created the world, and he employed human as that at the top chain, and then humans are the top consumers of the list. So this is one attitude which we can generally see. I don't know much about that philosophy, but this is my understanding what I from the many very less little reading I have done into those philosophies. So that is having its own plus point, because the entire industrial revolution that happened from the idea of Christianity. Yeah, that we have to agree with. So the present day, when we are living in a more comfortable world, sure, the Christian religion as a philosophy, as a concept, have a lot of influence in that. So, but at the same time, the consumerism way, because we have only one life, we have to enjoy that. That concept is affecting us, because we are not aware about, okay, what after me? Okay, no, after me also the world has to exist. After me also my generation has to exist. Then we have to be aware. So in that part, it is having a negative impact on them. But at the same time, in terms of progress and development, we have a positive impact from that religion. But whereas when we consider the Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, and Jainism, like when we enumerated the religion, it is hard to dissect between these religions. So Hinduism, whatever, even by the legal perspective, when we say Hindu, the term Hindu just means, okay, whatever which is not Islam, which is not Christian, whatever which is not otherwise. So even the Jain, Buddhist, Sikh will come into the same umbrella. It's more like an umbrella term. Even the Supreme Court discussions are happening right now to define the term Hindu. But whereas in general, the term includes both. Why? Because, and even practically also we are taking it as a whole, because to even though the Buddhist people have some changes in there or some extra things or additions in there, but they are not totally separate from the Indian philosophic schools. And without you have to understand that without the advent of Jainism and Buddhism, the present day Vedanta will not exist, because Vedanta is heavily influenced by Nagarjuna and all other great scholars. So those scholars of those time never considered them as a separate. So when the colonial powers came into India, they couldn't understand all this stuff. They say, okay, fine, there is some difference between the Sikhs, the Jains, the Buddhists, and then rest are there some group. But even then, if you see like within Hinduism, you will see different schools. There are Shaivites, there are Vaishnavites, there are Shaktivites. In Kerala, you will see the Shastraites, like those who follow the Shastra. There are different schools in Hinduism, so we cannot separate it, but we have a common line of thread, philosophic line of thread, and we can see that it's one is a different version of the other. That's what we have understand. And with the view in general, then the Indian view, the Sanatani religions like Hinduism, Jainism, Sikhism, and Buddhism, view nature or Paryavarana as the mother, and we are just a product of it. We are just a product of it, and it is like no, it is we have to be remain humble than telling that it is your duty to protect your mother. No, you have to remain humble. Otherwise, you will suffer the heat of your mother's anger. Okay, nature is pretty much powerful. So you are a humble, you have to behave as a humble child of this nature, then nature will take care of you. Otherwise, also nature will take care of you. I think I don't have to describe that in a elaborate way. So that's how it is in Sanatanic way. So where the nature is there and we are there. There is one. Thank you. Thank you, Piyush. Then, so the first way we have to like I'm not blaming someone, but there are something like some misunderstanding happened from after 17th century till independence. So a lot of misunderstanding happened. Why? Because when the European colonialism happens, even before the European colonialism, there was a continuous period of invasion. Okay, so especially the northern part of India was under stress for nearly 800 years, and then the colonial powers came in. So somehow the colonial powers was okay better for some time, but then again they started with their own agenda. So we can't blame them. That was the world of those times. So everybody was there of their own personal gain. Even now the world is like that, but India can make a difference where we never believe in that kind of thing. So during that time of colonialism and that industrialization and all, the colonizers do had a lot of agenda. So somehow they discovered that we were even during this invasion period of invasion during the medieval times, we were a sustainable society. They were wondered how this world was sustaining with all this invasion and all. Okay, so then they learned us very in depth, and then they started manipulating the entire narration. So what the colonizers, the best part the colonizer did was they collected all our knowledge sources. They never distracted it. They collected it and they took it to their country and they studied it in detail there. And now they are coming back with the same knowledge on us. Okay, fine, good. Anyway, the knowledge survived. That's good. That's good enough. But the thing is, we have to identify. We have to identify that we are equally good, and we have to come out of the notion that our forefathers were forest dwellers. Yes, they were living in forests, but they were far advanced. They were far advanced than even us, than intellectually far advanced. So they were not technologically far advanced. They were intellectually far advanced. So we have to be proud. We have to take proud of that. And not just taking pride will help you. You have to learn from them. And also we have to learn from the mistake that we did in the past, and we have to learn the plus points or the good things that the colonizers gave us, because sure we had some fault, otherwise how the colonizer would come and colonize us. Okay, so we have to learn that part also. We have to learn from them whatever best they gave, maintain it, sustain it, and whatever worse they give for our own destruction, just discard it. There is no meaning in complaining and okay, crying, okay, this happened to us, that happened to us. This is my understanding. We have to go with the world. There is no more like grudge and okay, they came and attacked us. No, nothing. There is useless. Leave it, leave it. We have to go forward. Okay. So the present day world, we have to be happy and friendly, and we have to follow as the present government says, like Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. That's a good idea. But at the same time, we have to aware on our own pride heritage. We have to use it, not just pride, like we have to use it for progress, and we have to accept the new world as it is. And then we will be more sustainable as a civilization. So we somehow strived in last 1,000 years, it was a bad time for the civilization, but the civilization is time tested now. So if it could survive for 1,000 years of atrocities, then now it is time of peace. We have to progress. We have to progress. Then only we will come. We will become the real Vishwa Guru kind of idea. Yeah. That's it. And with environment, we have to be very aware. And in Kerala, we are seeing a lot of problems with unwise conception of environment. Environment, we are facing a lot of problems. To an extent, people are getting more aware these days. People are reacting themselves. People are acting accordingly. Hope the coming days will be better. The new generation is far more good. They are more logic. They are more rational. They are more practical. So with the support of the elder generation, the younger generation will go far higher levels in this aspect. So anything else, or can we conclude the session?
Okay, so now we can conclude the session. On behalf of the Nature's Eye, I extend heartful thanks to all participants, guest speaker, and organization for their invaluable contribution to the Paryavaran Darshan webinar. Your presence, engagement, and commitment to environmental protection are deeply appreciated. Special thanks to the guest speaker for sharing his experience and expertise, participants for their activity, participants and the organization committee to their medical planning and implementation. Let us carry forward the workshop spirit, translating knowledge into actions and working together towards a greenery, more sustainable world. Your dedication has made this workshop unforgettable. Thank you, and let us be champions for the environment in all we do. Now, I would like to request our resource person participant, please on your camera for a snap to reserve this amazing session. Dear
By the
participants,
time
please open your camera.
by the time, I would like to thank NHSI to give this opportunity to have such a wonderful discussion. So even though, like, I wish I gave some ideas out, and please think on that, and please come up with your own ideas and observation. May this, like, the Paryavaran Darshan, like the environment philosophy, is still a very virgin section, or like a area of study we have to learn, and India has to pioneer and lead this field. Anyway,
We are very thankful, sir, to have you. Thank you, sir.
thank you, Natchez.
Thank you so much, everyone.